Well, we're joined now by Ian Leith, and he is representing the Caithness Family History Society. So thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about the Family History Society?
Yes, Caithness Family History Society began in 1999. A few enthusiasts or willing enthusiasts began to get together and think that there was an opportunity here. So the society was formed, as I say, in 1999 and has continued right throughout until now. And somewhere along the way, we've got around 300 members, I think, worldwide.
Yeah, brilliant. So where exactly is Caithness then?
Caithness is the most northerly county in Scotland, and it covers the sort of lowland area beyond the Highlands. Is what we would describe ourselves. We are part of Highland area, but there's not a lot of highland in Caithness. It's very flat, and it covers the sort of east and north coast of the Scottish mainland.
Yeah. So obviously for those of us who have visited, it's not the most densely populated area in
No,
Scotland.
there are two major towns
Mm-hmm.
in Caithness, Wick and Thurso, uh, both with sort of roughly 7,000 population. Thurso's population seems to be declining slightly because, of course, it was uh, increased considerably when Dounreay was built, and so a lot of that expertise is disappearing a wee bit now. But nonetheless, two major towns and quite a number of smaller villages around as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's historically, obviously, people may have ancestors that left, maybe to go further south or, in fact, to go abroad. So, what sort of resources does the Family History Society have?
Yeah, I mean, I often say that Caithness people populated the world. So we have people, with ancestors back in Caithness from across the world, and we get inquiries from all parts of the world as well. The resources we have the usual types of resources, I suppose, that a family history society would hold. Monumental inscriptions, census records, particular works and resources that relate specifically to the county of Caithness as well. And Family History Society is based in Thurso Library, so we have access to a wider collection as well, but we have our own library of resources within Thurso Library as well.
Brilliant, excellent. So, if I share the website, we can maybe have a look at that. And this is your website, which has obviously got some good resources on it. The beginner's guide, I was having a little look at that. That's quite helpful. I think a lot of people at the moment are just starting out, researching their family tree. There's also, you've got the publications and you've got research for members. So what sort of things can people find on your website?
Well, there's the outer and there's the inner website, as you might say. There's what's available to the public, as you're seeing there. But as a member, then you can get access to more resources, past journal copies, information as to what people are actually looking for in terms of their research and so on. But I have to say that this website is about to be replaced by a new website. We are working on a new design. It will still contain, obviously, all our resources, but we just feel that now is the time to update our website a little and make it maybe, and hopefully, a little more user-friendly.
A little bit more user friendly. I know. I think it's a constant thing, isn't it, with websites? Constantly need to be updated. So I've just gone to the member. So how much is membership then?
The membership is, and I'm going to have to try and remember. I think it's £15 per person. Is it £10 per person, and for £15 for a family membership.
Excellent. And there's also, so we've got various member benefits as well. You mentioned there about the different things. So what would a member get on the website that's not available if you're not a member?
Access to our journals,
Mm-hmm.
back copies of the journals. Three times a year the journal is published, so these are all available. Access to specific resources that we have compiled ourselves, in terms of membership. There's a members area of the website whereby you can post queries and contribute to other people's research as well. It's just a route in, I think, as much as anything. I think one of the most important things that we find that comes from it is inquiries. People spot it, see it, and think, well, here's somebody that maybe can help us with some of our inquiries.
Yeah, that's great, and that is the great thing about being a member of a family history society, because you can get that help. So you've got, I was looking at this as well, you've got the journal content. So again, you get sort of an idea of the different topics that have been covered as well. So I think, and it said if you were a member, you're able to obviously get access to that as well.
That's right.
The actual journals.
That's right. You can get in the members area. You will actually be able to download the journals. Each journal, once it is published, then goes on to the members area of the website.
Yeah. So the publications, let's go in here. This is often what we're all looking for, particularly the monument inscriptions, because they can just be just exactly the thing that is needed when it comes to tracing your family history. So there's a discount if you're a member, but if you're not a member, you can still buy the publications, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. Our publications, as you can see from the website, are basically sort of two areas. There's the monumental inscriptions for some of the graveyards in Caithness, and extracts and parts of the census records for different parishes. So it's an easier lookup. The monumental inscriptions, we're now also contributing to Find My Past. So there's an option to check them on that as well now.
Yeah.
But that's a relatively slow process in inputting all that information.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's going to be good when it's finished. So yeah, you've got a lot going on. So if you've got ancestors from Caithness, and do you, when it comes to research, obviously you could post and somebody else might be able to help, but is there if somebody wants assistance with their research, is that something the Family History Society can offer?
Yes, absolutely. It comes in various forms. Of course, sometimes it's maybe, say, somebody in Australia, so most of the discussions will go on online or via email. But every so often, and not at the moment, but every so often, we get visiting people from these far-flung areas, and it's quite nice to meet them personally then, and to maybe take them to the appropriate graveyard. It seems a strange thing to do to visitors, but if you're family historians, then that's where you go. And it's an opportunity to take people around and show them what our county is and what we have here, not just in terms of graveyards.
So obviously covering the area there of Caithness, but what sort of surnames do you find in the research in that area?
The common names in Caithness are Sinclair, Gunn, Sutherland, maybe Swanson, Mowat. These are the sort of more common names. But we also have one or two names, of course, that are difficult to find because of the spelling and pronunciation. And that's where I suppose local knowledge comes in. But there's two that strike me that I think are something that's often a problem. One is the surname Farquhar, spelt Farquhar, but locally that would be called Fracker. So it is changed, and the pronunciation has effectively changed the spelling of it. And there's another one which we would call Wheemster, is the surname, but it's spelt PH. Imster, and of course, because it's the PH is then becomes an F sound, you get Feemster, and the origins of that apparently are Fubister from Orkney anyway. So it's a that's where local knowledge, I think, helps as well, because spellings can vary.
Yeah, and that is a key to it. When somebody couldn't maybe spell themselves, somebody's just written down what they heard, and that's why we get all sorts of weird and wonderful spellings in the records. So definitely very useful to know that. And they're not the names, you very rarely hear those names in the south of Scotland, certainly historically. So Yeah, that's very interesting. This local knowledge then is so important, and of course, at the moment, none of us can meet up in person, but normally you would meet up. So, what do you have as part of that program when you have these meetups as a society?
We organise a programme of talks, presentations throughout the year on different topics and different subjects. And I always think it's really quite encouraging to know that we've got lots of people that can give talks on different aspects of heritage and family history. We run the talks, we alternate them between venues in Wick and Thurso because we can't have favourites, so we have to have both venues. And that's covered a lot of different topics over the time. And by and large, these talks are given by people that are local residents here.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant, excellent. And that again, this is why family history societies are so important, because you can learn from that knowledge, that experience that other people have. And it's going to help you when it comes to researching your family tree, because if you don't know something, you're just looking for a needle in a haystack, aren't you?
Yeah, and the talks we don't restrict the talks to members only. It's for anyone within the area, and that helps us maybe to get a few new members as well once they see the opportunities.
And is there any other work you do in the county, working along with others?
Yes, we try to work with various heritage centres that are around the county. Some certainly have quite extensive information and resources that will help family historians. I'm thinking maybe of Dunbeath Heritage Centre, Leibster, Castletown, Castle Hill Centre, and the Wick Society. And the Wick Society are the custodians of a very important photographic collection, the Johnston photographic collection. There's some 40,000 images have been digitized and are online, and many of these are portraits, individual people or indeed family groups. So for family historians, these things can be really very useful indeed. So the Johnston photographic collection is online.
So, because quite often a question that people will ask is, well, where is such and such a record? And again, family history societies can be a good place to approach, because even though you may not hold that record yourself, you may know who does.
Yeah.
So it's a good port of call if you're looking for specific records.
And in that respect, we will work closely with Nucleus, which is the Nuclear and Caithness Archive, because they hold all the official archives, but also many family papers, estate records, and so on as well. And it's now stored in the best temperature controlled building in the world.
Yeah. So obviously we are all a little bit limited at the moment, because we can't all meet together in person. But of course, the Caithness Family History Society is on Facebook. So even if you're not a member, you can follow their Facebook page, and that'll keep you up to date. But as well as organising things for the society, the Family History Society is also a member of the Scottish Association of Family History Societies, which is SAFHS. And I think, was it 2019, you hosted the conference?
That's right. 2019, we hosted the conference in Wick, in the Pulteney Centre in Wick, and we titled the conference Northern Roots. Because we thought that was appropriate. But it was a successful conference. We had a nice array of presentations and talks. Delegates to the conference were offered the opportunity to go to Nucleus, our super duper archive. Caithness has always had an archive, but now Nucleus and the Caithness archive are all one super duper building. So that was an opportunity for delegates to visit there. And of course, there was the traditional family history fair, which was represented by many of the family history societies across Scotland. They had made the effort to come and visit the north of Scotland, and it was nice to know that quite a number of people made it a wee bit of a holiday as well,
Yeah.
and stayed for a few days, because there's this perception that we're a long way away from everybody else. But as we quite like to point out, we're the same distance from if we have to go the other way. So it was nice. And it was it was a well attended conference, I think. Yes.
Yeah, that's good, and it's nice for them to be around the country as well. We often attend the SAFHS conference ourselves because we like to do that. It's a good opportunity. But obviously, like so many things, last year's conference didn't go ahead in person because of the pandemic. But that's not going to stop you, I believe.
Well, it very nearly stopped us, I think. But the SAFHS executive made a decision that we would try to replicate as far as possible the conference that was postponed or cancelled, and do it on a digital basis. And we've been indebted, I think, to Scottish Indexes for helping with this, because while we can talk to people and organise a programme, the technology aspect of it was something that scared us, I think, a little. So it was good to that. But yes, we're progressing well with the plans for the 2021 conference, which is really the 2020 conference, if you can understand. And it's the same, it's basically the same idea. It was labelled "It's a SAFHS," and yes, it has been.
So for anybody not from Scotland, what does that mean?
It just means it's been a real difficulty. It's been a bit of a challenge, shall we say.
So a very, very appropriate title. So it's going to be the same way to register. There's the SAFHS Facebook group. You can watch in there if you want to watch on Facebook, and you can also register on Zoom, and of course it's free. But there'll be more details about what's coming up on that near the time. But what date is it, so people can put that date in their diary?
It's April the 17th, Saturday the 17th of April. And that traditionally the SAFHS conferences around that period, the middle of April each year.
Yeah, excellent. So make sure you get that in your diary. That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us. That's really interesting. And if anybody's got any questions, obviously they can either get in touch or post them now.